Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to our program Ramadan and Diabetes. My name is Taimur Sultan from FarmEvo, and we are very much thankful for you being here attending this session. So before we proceed with the session, let us first have some verses of Holy Quran. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful.
قل هو الله أحد.
Say, He is Allah, who is one.
الله الصمد.
Allah, the eternal refuge.
لم يلد ولم يولد.
He neither begets nor is born.
ولم يكن له كفوا أحد.
Nor is there to him any equivalent.
Okay, ji, Jazakallah. So let's first introduce the speakers of our today's session. Let me first introduce Professor Akhtar Ali Baloch. He's a professor of medicine. He's also a director at National Institute of Diabetes and Endocrinology. Dr. Muhammad Shahid, he's associate professor of medicine and consultant endocrinologist at SMBB MC and LGH Karachi. Dr. Akbar Sarfaraz, she's a endocrinologist, fellow in diabetes endocrinology, assistant professor, section head and consultant endocrinologist, Lagat National Hospital. Our fourth speaker is Dr. Zareen Kiran. She's assistant professor of endocrinology at National Institute of Diabetes and Endocrinology. Last but not the least, Dr. Syed Muhammad Hassan. He's assistant professor, consultant physician, diabetologist and endocrinologist at National Institute of Diabetes and Endocrinology. So thank you very much for being with us. Now I would like to request our first speaker, Professor Akhtar Ali Baloch, to please join in and share the screen so that we can have the session. And one very important thing that during the session, if you have any questions, so you may write the question in the chat box so we can later on ask these questions to our speakers. So I'm waiting for Dr. Akhtar Ali Baloch to please start his presentation.
Dr. Akhtar Ali Baloch. All the research स्लाइड आ गया, स्लाइड निकालना। बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। अल्लाह के नाम से शुरू जो निहायत मेहरबान और रहम करने वाला है। वो लाखों करोड़ों दुरूद आप सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम पर जो पूरी कायनात के लिए रहमत बना के भेजे गए। I am Professor Akhtar Baloch. I am Professor of Medicine and Director of National Institute of Diabetes and Endocrinology, the University of Health Sciences, Karachi. I would like to share my views about Ramadan and diabetes. According to the Holy Quran, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu kutiba alaykumus-siyamu kama kutiba alal ladzina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. हे लोगों जो ईमान लाए हो, तुम पर रोजे फर्ज कर दिए गए हैं जिस तरह तुमसे पहले अंबिया की उम्मतों पे किए गए थे, ताकि तुम में तकवा पैदा हो। अल्लाह सुब्हानहू व तआला ने रमजान के महीने में लोगों पे जो रोजे फर्ज किए हैं, इसलिए नहीं कि उनकी तकलीफों में और उनको मुश्किलात पेश आए, बल्कि इसलिए कि उसमें तकवा पैदा हो। Islam and Ramadan, worldwide we have 1.8 million Muslim population, which constitute about 23 to 25% of whole world population, which is about 6.8 billion. And this population is growing by 3% every year. Fasting during Ramadan, holy month of Islam, is a duty of all healthy adult Muslims should fast. Muslims who fast during Ramadan must abstain from the eating, drinking, use of oral medication, smoking from pre-dawn to sunset. However, there is no restrictions of food or fluid intake between sunset and dawn. Fasting during Ramadan, a holy month of Islam, is an obligatory duty for all healthy Muslims. And according to the APDR study, 43% patients with type 1 diabetes, they fast, and 79% of the patients with type 2, they fast during the month of Ramadan. And with an estimation about 40 to 50 million people fast with diabetes worldwide. The Holy Quran specifically exempt this duty of fasting, especially if fasting might lead to harmful consequences for an individual. Patient with diabetes fall under this category because this is a chronic metabolic problem. The people who are travelers are sick, they are exempted from this duty, but they will have to make up the days later on. According to Surah Al-Baqarah 185, Ramadan is the month in which Quran was sent down for the guidance of mankind. So every one of you who is present during that month should spend it in fasting. But if anyone is ill or on journey, the prescribed period should be made up by later days. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not intend to put you in any difficulties, but if he wants you to observe this month for the taqwa. And who cannot fast in the light of Holy Quran, and as I said about the Surah Al-Baqarah, physically sick people and travelers on journey, they can make up the days later on. Women during menstruation, pregnant and lactating mothers, and pre-pubertal children, they are exempted from this duty. But some of them, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in Holy Quran, they will have to make up the days later on. Patient who should not fast during the month of Ramadan is ideally type 1 diabetes, chronic renal failure, severe cardiac and pulmonary conditions, GI bleeds, severe epilepsy, and severe migraine. Just briefly about the pathophysiology of the fasting. Insulin secretion in healthy individual is stimulated by feeding, which promotes the storage of glucose in liver and muscles as glycogen. In contrast, during fasting, circulating glucose level tend to fall, leading to decreased secretion of insulin. Levels of glucagon and catecholamine rise, stimulating the breakdown of glycogen, and ultimately gluconeogenesis augmented. As fasting becomes prolonged for more than several hours, glycogen stores become depleted, and the low levels of circulating insulin allow increased fatty acids to release from the adipocytes. Oxidation fatty acids generates ketones that can be used as a fuel by skeletal muscle, cardiac muscle, liver, kidney, and adipose tissues, thus sparing the glucose for the continued utilization by brain and erythrocytes. Question is, can diabetic patient fast during the month of Ramadan? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given some relaxation to some people, but ultimately it's the duty of all adult Muslims to fast. The bulk of literature indicates the fasting in Ramadan is safe for majority of type 2 diabetic patients with proper education and diabetic management. But if any diabetic patient he intends to fast and he elect to fast, what is the risk attached when he fasts? Number one is hypoglycemia. Hypoglycemia, he can run into diabetic ketoacidosis, which is a good complication, can run into ICU, dehydration, and thrombosis. Hyperglycemia, according to the APDR study, five-fold increase in the incidence of severe hyperglycemia in patient type 2, threefold increase in incidence of severe hyperglycemia with or without ketoacidosis in patient with type 1. Similarly, according to this study, the hypoglycemic events, risk of hypoglycemia during Ramadan fasting increases by 4 to 7-fold in type 1 and 7.5-fold in type 2. And some mortality is linked about 2 to 4% with type 1 diabetes and much lesser with type 2 diabetes. Diabetic ketoacidosis patients with the diabetes, especially those with type 1 diabetes who fast during Ramadan, are at increased risk for developing diabetic ketoacidosis, particularly if they are grossly hyperglycemic before Ramadan. Dehydration is another problem which they face because of limitation of fluid intake during the fast, especially if it's prolonged. Fast can be from few hours to 20 hours. It's cause of dehydration, hyperglycemia, again can cause osmotic diuresis and contribute to decrease volume electrolyte. Orthostatic hypotension can be complication, and because diabetic patients are prone to a hypercoagulable state because of increase in clotting factors and decrease in endogenous anticoagulants. But this complication is not very much seen in all studies. Many patients with diabetes, they come to us and they insist on fasting during month of Ramadan, thereby creating a medical challenge for themselves and their healthcare providers. General consideration: when I see the patient in my outpatient, they come to me and ask, they elect to fast. Excessive physical activity should be avoided. If Tarawih prayer is performed, then should be considered as a part of the daily exercise program. People must always and immediately end their fast blood glucose fast less than 60, and if they are sick, they should avoid fasting. The READ program 3D approach: drug adjustment, diet adjustment, and daily exercise. According to the READ program, lifestyle modification during month of Ramadan before and after suggest the people who are adhering to the READ program, they have good glycemic control and they have good blood pressure control, and they improve HbA1c and may not lose a weight. And also they have a less number of hypos when they adhere into the READ program. That includes lifestyle modification and exercise. In conclusion, majority of the uncomplicated type 2 diabetic patient can fast during month of Ramadan safely. Pre-Ramadan assessment motivation are very important to prevent diabetes-related complications. Fasting along with regular prayers will improve the glycemic control. Frequent monitoring glycemia can significantly reduce the complication. In Islam, it is allowed that they can check the blood glucose level. Thank you very much and have a blessed Ramadan.
Uh, Thank you very much, Dr. Aftari Baloch. So, if the listeners have any questions right now, they can write in the chat box. So, we will answer those questions in the end. So, coming to our second presenter, uh, so I would like to request Dr. Mohammed Shahid to please join the session and share his topic of presentation. Thank you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman Rahim. Thank you, Taimur. So we'll be discussing about insulin therapy in Ramadan. As you know, there are two types of diabetes. So one is type 1 diabetes and the second one is type 2 diabetes. In type 1 diabetes, initially the patient requires insulin. And throughout the life, he requires insulin because the beta cells of pancreas are not producing insulin. So they are actually on insulin, and insulin is the life of these patients. Type 2 diabetes usually runs in family, and these are obese patients usually. And initially they require medications, followed by insulin after a few months or years. So in type 2 diabetes, insulin use during prolonged fasting carries an increased risk of hypoglycemia. So this hypoglycemia, which is actually blood sugars less than 70, is particularly seen with patients who are either on sulfonylurea, oral medications, or on insulin therapy. And particularly, as I've told you, that type 1 patients are on insulin, and type 2 patients who are on insulin, these are the risk factors, like hypoglycemia is a risk in these patients who are fasting. There are different types of insulin, like there's basal insulin, there's prandial insulin, there's premixed insulin. So there are multiple types of insulin, and the use of insulin analogs is recommended over regular insulin in Ramadan, because these have lower chances of hypoglycemia as compared to the regular insulin, which causes more hypoglycemia. Next comes the insulin treatment is required in patients of type 1 and type 2 diabetes, and these insulin requires some adjustment before Ramadan, and self-monitoring blood glucose is required during Ramadan and pre-Ramadan in order to see what is the level of blood glucose levels in these patients. So in these patients who are on insulin, a requirement of insulin is important, and the adjustment of insulin is also very important. For example, if a patient is on 70-30 insulin, 30 units in the morning and 20 units at night, so overall 50 units, this insulin requirement of insulin should be adjusted during Ramadan in order to prevent hypoglycemia. If a patient is taking NPH or premixed insulin at Sahur, it is important to check blood glucose at noon before up titration of the pre-Sahur dose. And if noon blood glucose is less than 110 milligram per deciliter and pre-iftar blood glucose is not at the target, long-acting analogs are preferred because this is more safer as compared to other types of insulins. As I told you, type 1 diabetics usually require insulin from the very first day. And so the religious leaders and diabetic experts do not recommend fasting in individuals with type 1 diabetes. And such patients are categorized as very high risk. So pharmacological management of high risk population is, as these patients are on insulin, therefore history of recurrent hypoglycemia is very important. And the patient's hypoglycemia unawareness should be monitored. Poor diabetes control is a high-risk population, and non-compliance with medical treatment is another important factor. Patients who are unwilling or unable to monitor and manage their blood glucose levels are very high-risk population. So all patients should comprehend the dangers of hypoglycemia and hyperglycemia. So hypoglycemia means sugar is less than 70 and hyperglycemia means sugar more than 300 milligram per deciliter. Know when to break the fast, that is when the sugar is less than 70 and when the sugar is more than 300, and must not fast if they are unwell. So young adults, adolescents with type 1 diabetes, the general consensus is that fasting should be avoided in order to prevent, because these patients are more prone to have hypoglycemia and hyperglycemia. Those who insist on fasting need to have good hypoglycemic awareness, good glycemic control pre-Ramadan, have the knowledge and willingness to test their blood glucose levels, be able to adjust monitoring of the insulin as needed and as supervised by the expert physician. In pregnant females, patients who are pregnant and are diabetic and on sulfonylurea and or insulin should be strongly advised against fasting due to the risk of hypoglycemia. So there are different types of insulin therapy. So switch to insulin analogs if possible, because as I've told you that these insulin produces lower chances of hypoglycemia. Then there are different types of insulin: one-time insulin, two-time insulin, and three-time insulin, which is also known as, or four-time insulin, which is also known as basal bolus insulin. So one-time insulin is like NPH, Detamel, Glargine, and Degludec, and one-time insulin, this should be taken at iftar time. And the dose should be reduced to 15 to 30% of the normal dose. For example, if a patient is taking 100 units, so it should be 70 or less units should be prescribed to these patients. And this should be OD dose taken at iftar. If the patient is on BD insulin like NPH, Detamel, and Glargine, take usual morning dose at iftar and reduce evening dose by 50% and take at suhoor. For example, patient is taking 30 units in the morning and 20 units, as I told you. So this 30 units in the morning will go to iftar time at iftar, and 20 units reduce it to half and prescribe to in the suhoor. That means 10 units in the morning at suhoor time and 30 units at night. Then there are rapid or short-acting bolus insulin. Take normal dose at iftar and omit lunch dose and reduce suhoor dose by 25 to 50%. Then comes premix insulin. If the patient is taking once daily insulin, take this insulin at iftar. If taking BD insulin, take the usual morning at iftar and reduce 25 to 50% at suhoor evening dose. And if the patient is taking 3 times insulin, omit the afternoon dose and adjust, as I've told you, in iftar and suhoor doses. And dose titration should be performed every 3 days, and dose adjustments are made according to the blood glucose level. So this means that the blood glucose monitoring should be done in order to see the levels of blood glucose levels and adjust and titrate your insulin according to the blood glucose levels. So the recommended timings to check blood glucose level during Ramadan fasting is suhoor at morning time, at noon time, mid-afternoon, at iftar, 2 hours after iftar, or whenever you are feeling that this patient has hypoglycemia or symptoms of hyperglycemia and the patient is not feeling well, so check the blood glucose levels. Then comes GLP-1 agonist, which is not insulin, but these are recommended in type 2 patients. So studies demonstrate that liraglutide is safe as an add-on treatment to pre-existing anti-diabetic regimes and can be effective in reducing weight as well as HbA1c during Ramadan. So in conclusion, we can say that diabetic patients should consult their physician, endocrinologist, diabetologist before Ramadan, so that the dose of insulin and other oral hypoglycemic agents should be adjusted accordingly and they do not have any problem during Ramadan. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Shahid. So, our next presenter is Dr. Agba Sarfaraz, and she will be presenting about medications for patients, diabetic patients in Ramadan. So, I would like to request Dr. Agba Sarfaraz to please join in and share his views.
EVE Online is a vast universe.
Dr. Agba is just joining in. We can't hear. Okay.
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम ऑन द बिहाफ ऑफ कार्निवो मैं सारी ऑडियंस को वेलकम कहती हूँ टू जॉइन दिस प्रोग्राम बेसिकली बिफोर रमज़ान वी हैव टू डू दिस काइंड ऑफ प्रोग्राम्स टू नो कि डायबिटीज़ की ओरल हाइपोग्लाइसेमिक की डोज एडजस्टमेंट कैसे करनी है, इंसुलिन जैसे डॉक्टर शाहिद ने बताया कैसे एडजस्ट करनी है, एंड बेसिकली जो हमारे जनरल प्रैक्टिशनर्स हैं दे आर द बेसिक पिलर्स, हम उन पे डिपेंड करते हैं. तो पेशेंट बिफोर रिपोर्टिंग फर्स्ट शायद आप लोगों के पास ज़्यादा आ रहा होता है, तो यू पीपल शुड नो कि ओरल हाइपोग्लाइसेमिक्स या इंसुलिन की डोज को एडजस्टमेंट कैसे करना है, रिस्क स्ट्रेटिफिकेशन कैसे होनी चाहिए, जैसे ज़रीन बताएंगी अब कि जो है हमें कौन से पेशेंट्स को जो है वो अकॉर्डिंग टू रिस्क स्ट्रेटिफिकेशन रोज़ा रखने की इजाज़त देनी चाहिए, नहीं देनी चाहिए. बिफोर स्टार्टिंग माय लेक्चर 2-3 चीज़ें हैं जो मैं यहाँ पे एक्सप्लेन करना चाहूँगी. वो ये हैं कि सबसे पहले तो प्री रमज़ान असेसमेंट जो है वो लाजमी होती है, जो रमज़ान आने से 1-2 महीने पहले सारे पेशेंट्स की कर लेनी चाहिए, जिसमें 3 मंथ्स का एवरेज टेस्ट है, गुर्दों का टेस्ट है, कोलेस्ट्रॉल के टेस्ट हैं. ये बेसिक टेस्ट हैं जो शुगर के मरीजों के एटलीस्ट रमज़ान आने से पहले कर लेना चाहिए, सो डैट हमें ये पता हो कि हमारा पेशेंट किस जगह पे खड़ा है और आइदर हमें उससे आगे रोज़ा रखने की इजाज़त देनी है कि नहीं देनी है. Now just come to the lecture. During Ramzan, the consumption of food and drink as well as oral and injected medications is forbidden between dawn and dusk. तो खाने पीने का जो है टाइम चेंज हो जाता है, हमारी पूरी रूटीन लाइफ स्टाइल चेंज हो जाता है, तो उसी लिहाज से हमें मेडिकेशंस भी एडजस्ट करनी होती है. Depending upon the season and geographic location, each period of fasting may last for up to 24 hours. So इस साल भी जो हमारी फास्टिंग होगी वो एटलीस्ट 17 to 18 आवर्स की होगी, जिसमें हमें उसी के अकॉर्डिंगली अपने डायबिटिक पेशेंट को सब चीज़ें काउंसिल करनी होगी. अगर कोई भी पेशेंट डायबिटिक है, इफ़ यू हैव डायबिटीज़, यू नीड टू मेक एन अपॉइंटमेंट टू सी योर जीपी व्हाट नीड टू बी कंसीडर्ड, जो चीज़ें जहन में होनी चाहिए, आप किस ट्रीटमेंट पे हैं, जैसे हमें अगर ओरल हाइपोग्लाइसेमिक्स को चेंज करना है या डोज एडजस्टमेंट करनी है तो वो कैसे होनी चाहिए। इसमें बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट ये सवाल है कि आपकी जो हेल्थ है वो पिछले 1 साल में कैसी रही है। किसी मेजर इलनेस की वजह से आप हॉस्पिटलाइज तो नहीं हो पाए, तो आपका ओवरऑल शुगर का कंट्रोल कैसा रहा है पिछले 1 साल में। अगर आपका 3 मंथ्स एवरेज बहुत अच्छा है तो इसका मतलब आप सेफ पीरियड में हैं जो कि आप रोजा रख सकते हैं। कॉम्प्लिकेशंस है नहीं है, कोई गुर्दे का मसला है, कोई दिल का मसला है, कोई इस्केमिक हार्ट डिजीज है, तो ये सब चीज़ें पेशेंट्स के लिहाज से हमारे जनरल प्रैक्टिशनर के जहन में होनी चाहिए। आपने ड्यूरिंग रमज़ान लास्ट ईयर आपका जो है वो एक्सपीरियंस कैसा रहा और रमज़ान ख़त्म होने के बाद क्या हुआ, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है। बिकॉज रमज़ान में हम रोज़ा तो रख लेते हैं लेकिन माशाल्लाह सहरी अफ्तारी में कुछ मुर्गन चीज़ें भी चली होती हैं जो डाइट पे भी हम डिस्कस करेंगे। तो रमज़ान के बाद क्या आउटकम हुआ इस पे भी जो है वो नज़र डालना ज़रूरी होता है। डिपेंड करता है कि आपकी डायबिटीज़ किस टाइप की है, टाइप 1 है, टाइप 2 है। मैं इसमें सिर्फ कंसीडर करूँगी हमारे जो टॉपिक है ओरल हाइपोग्लाइसेमिक एजेंट्स, उसको दरमियान में रमज़ान के मौके पर एडजस्ट कैसे करना है। कॉम्प्लिकेशंस क्या-क्या हो सकती हैं वो प्रोफेसर अख्तर ऑलरेडी डिस्कस कर चुके हैं कि पेशेंट हाइपोग्लाइसेमिया के साथ भी प्रेज़ेंट करता है, डायबिटिक कीटोएसिडोसिस के साथ भी प्रेज़ेंट करता है और बिकॉज़ ऑफ डिहाइड्रेशन थ्रोम्बोसिस के साथ भी प्रेजेंट कर सकते हैं। डिहाइड्रेशन क्यों होगी? ज़ाहिर सी बात है, मैंने पहले कह दिया इतना लंबा रोज़ा है तो वो पेशेंट जो डायबिटिक हैं, जो रोज़ा रखने चाह रहे हैं, आप उनको काउंसल ये करना है कि अफ्तार और सहरी के दरमियान अपना पानी का इस्तेमाल अच्छा रखें। कुछ ओरल हाइपोग्लाइसेमिक एजेंट्स हैं जो हम आगे डिस्कस करेंगे, जो यूरिनेशन बढ़ाते हैं। उनके लिए भी अगर आपके पेशेंट उन मेडिकेशंस में हैं तो उस दौरान भी अफ्तार से लेके सहरी तक पे पानी का इस्तेमाल अच्छा होना चाहिए डायबिटिक पेशेंट्स का। ओरल हाइपोग्लाइसेमिक एजेंट्स रमज़ान में कैसे एडजस्ट करनी है? एज़ वी ऑल नो कि जो पेशेंट टाइप 2 डायबिटिक हैं वो इनिशियली ओरल हाइपोग्लाइसेमिक्स में हैं। अफ्तार और सहरी पे अगर एडजस्ट करते हैं, यूजुअली दे हैव इम्प्रूव और हैव नो इफेक्ट ऑन ग्लाइसेमिक कंट्रोल। उनका वेल एंड गुड ग्लाइसेमिक कंट्रोल अच्छा ही रहता है। They don't increase the risk of hypoglycemic episodes. Hyperglycemia have been shown in patient जो कि अपनी डोज को वक्ती तौर पे कम कर देते हैं या लोगों के जहन में होता है रोजा आ गया तो अब हमने दवाई खानी नहीं है। स्पेशली सहरी का एक ये टाइम होता है जो वो कहते हैं कि सहरी के वक्त दवाई नहीं लेंगे बिकॉज उससे शुगर डाउन होगी तो हमारा रोजा रखें। तो वो पेशेंट कभी कभी हाइपरग्लाइसीमिया के साथ प्रेजेंट करते हैं। तो सहरी में आपने डोज को कम करना है लेकिन सहरी में आपने अपनी शुगर की दवाइयाँ बंद नहीं करनी है। जो भी टाइप 2 डायबिटिक पेशेंट है दे कैन फास्ट सेफली ड्यूरिंग रमजान, बट इट इज इम्पोर्टेंट फॉर बोथ हेल्थ केयर प्रोफेशन, ये हमारी जिम्मेदारी है कि और पेशेंट दोनों तरफ से ये जिम्मेदारी डिपेंड होती है कि वो अंडरस्टैंड करें और इम्प्लीमेंट करें अप्रोप्रिएट मेडिकेशन का यूज ड्यूरिंग रमजान। तो हेल्थ केयर प्रोफेशन भी है, हेल्थ केयर प्रोफेशन हमारी ये जिम्मेदारी है कि हम पेशेंट को पूरा काउंसिल करें और मेडिकेशन एडजस्ट करें। Now come to the oral hypoglycemic agent. सबसे पहले जो बेसिक दवाई हम सबके जहन में आती है that is metformin। ठीक है, मेटफॉर्मिन को मेडिकेशन को रमजान में कैसे एडजस्ट करना है। चेंजेस टू मेटफॉर्मिन डोज ड्यूरिंग रमजान। अगर आपका पेशेंट वंस डेली डोज पे है, ठीक है, अगर पेशेंट मेटफॉर्मिन की ओडी डोज पे है तो कोई डोज रिक्वायरमेंट की जरूरत नहीं है और जो ओडी डोज है आप उसको अफ्तार पे दें, तो यू हैव टू टेक एट अफ्तार। अगर आपके पेशेंट मेटफॉर्मिन बीडी डोज पे है, ठीक है, एक मॉर्निंग में ब्रेकफास्ट में लेते हैं और डिनर पे लेते हैं, तो एज वी ऑल नो कि मेटफॉर्मिन का रिस्क ऑफ हाइपोग्लाइसेमिया इज वेरी लो, तो यू कैन सेफली गिव एट अफ्तार एंड सुहूर। तो जो बीडी डोज पे हैं वो मेटफॉर्मिन की बीडी डोज पे ही रहेंगे और वो ऑटोमेटिकली सहरी और अफ्तारी में हो जाएगी। अगर कोई पेशेंट थ्राइस डेली ले रहा है, मेटफॉर्मिन थ्राइस डेली ले रहा है, ब्रेकफास्ट लंच और डिनर पे ले रहा है, तो आप जो है कंबाइन आफ्टरनून डोज विद डोज टेकन एट अफ्तार, तो आप उसका जो है वो आफ्टरनून डोज को अफ्तार की डोज के साथ जो है वो कंबाइन करके दे दें और सहरी का जो रात वाला है वो ऑटोमेटिकली सेम रखें। तो चूंकि रमजान में हम दोपहर का डोज तो दे नहीं सकते, तो आप आफ्टरनून और ब्रेकफास्ट की डोज को अफ्तार में कंबाइन करके दे दें और रात वाला डोज आप सहरी में रखें। जो मेटफॉर्मिन की एक्सटेंडेड रिलीज पे है, ठीक है, उनमें भी कोई डोज रिक्वायरमेंट की जरूरत नहीं है एंड यू कैन सेफली गिव एट अफ्तार। तो कोई एक्सटेंडेड रिलीज पे है, ओडी डोज पे है, तो आप ऑटोमेटिकली अफ्तार पे ले आएंगे। तो मेटफॉर्मिन में आपको डोज एडजस्टमेंट की जरूरत नहीं है, लो रिस्क ऑफ हाइपोग्लाइसीमिया, आप आराम से सहरी और अफ्तारी में ले सकते हैं। एक कार्बोज इनिशियली जो है वो बहुत पहले बहुत यूज होती थी ए कार्बोज। व्हाट इज द मैकेनिज्म ऑफ एक्शन ऑफ ए कार्बोज? ए कार्बोज यूजुअली इनहिबिट करती है एक्शन ऑफ अल्फा ग्लूकोसाइडेज को, which is an enzyme that break down carbohydrate into glucose. ठीक है। Ideally, no randomized controlled trials have been conducted on acarbose in fasting patients with diabetes. However, no dose modification is required because risk of hypoglycemia with acarbose is low. तो अगर कोई पेशेंट आपका acarbose पे है या ग्लूकोबे पे है तो you can give safely at sahri and iftari because mechanism of action or duration of action is very low. तो risk of hypoglycemia is also low. TZDs जो हमारी medication है, this is another form of oral hypoglycemic agents. ठीक है, जो कि यूजुअली क्या कर रही होती हैं, इंसुलिन की सेंसिटिविटी को इंक्रीज कर रही होती हैं एट द लेवल ऑफ फैट, मसल, लिवर और पेरिफेरल टिश्यू में। तो इंसुलिन की सेंसिटिविटी को बढ़ाते हैं। रिस्क ऑफ हाइपोग्लाइसीमिया इज लो। तो ड्यू टू रिस्क ऑफ हाइपोग्लाइसीमिया, लो रिस्क ऑफ हाइपोग्लाइसीमिया विद पायोग्लिटाजोन्स, no dose modification is required during Ramzan and the dose can be taken with iftar or sahur. तो अगर आपके पेशेंट जो TZDs में हैं या पायोग्लिटाजोन्स में हैं, उनमें भी डोज रिड्यूस करने की जरूरत नहीं है। जिस टाइम पे वो नाश्ते में या रात के खाने में अपनी पायोग्लिटाजोन लेते हैं, वो उसी लिहाज से अफ्तारी में या सहरी में ले सकते हैं। यहाँ पे एक बात मैं क्लियर करना चाहूँगी कि जो डोज जो है वो नाश्ते में दी जाती है, शुगर की जो भी दवाइयाँ हैं जिनकी जो डोज ब्रेकफास्ट पे दी जाती है, वो ऑटोमेटिकली रमज़ान में अफ्तार के टाइम पे आ जाती है, और जो सहरी में रात के खाने में दी जाती है वो ऑटोमेटिकली सहरी में चली जाती है। तो ये डोज एडजस्टमेंट होती है जो आपने अपने पेशेंट्स में करनी होती है। तो TZDs एक ऐसी है जिसमें आपको डोज को रिड्यूस करने की जरूरत नहीं है। यू कैन सेफली गिव एट सहरी एंड अफ्तारी एज वेल। शॉर्ट एक्टिंग इंसुलिन सिक्रेटोकॉक्स जो कि शॉर्ट एक्टिंग है, जैसे रेपिक्लेनाइड है, ठीक है, दे स्टिमुलेट पैनक्रियाटिक बीटा सेल टू सिक्रेट मोर इंसुलिन and they are usually taken before meals. In two small observational studies, no hypoglycemic events were reported in patient treated with repiglinaide during Ramzan. So because इनका भी duration of action is very low, ठीक है, short acting होती हैं, तो you can give easily, you can give safely, you can give in sahri and iftari. Because of short duration of action of these agents, ठीक है, you can give before iftar and sahur. The daily dose of short-acting insulin secretagogue may be reduced or redistributed to 2 doses during Ramzan according to meal size. तो जो रेपिक्लेनाइड वाले ग्रुप होते हैं ना, ये यूजुअली हम TDS दे रहे होते हैं बिकॉज बिफोर ईच मील दे रहे होते हैं। तो रमजान में चूंकि हम दोपहर का खाना तो खाते नहीं है, तो आप इसको रिड्यूस करके ट्वाइस अ डे दे सकते हैं, और आप उस मील पे दे सकते हैं जो मील आपका थोड़ा सा हैवी है। लाइक कुछ लोग डिनर करते हैं, कुछ लोग अफ्तार हैवी करते हैं, तो आप डोज को रीडिस्ट्रीब्यूट करके मेन डोज के साथ, मेन मील के साथ आप थोड़ा बड़ी डोज एडजस्टमेंट कर सकते हैं। व्हाट अबाउट द सल्फोनाइलूरिया? As you all know, sulfonylurea जो है, they are carry high risk of hypoglycemia. तो these are the main oral hypoglycemic agents. ये वो ग्रुप है जहाँ पे आपको डोज एडजस्टमेंट करना होता है। अगर कोई पेशेंट आपका वंस डेली डोजिंग पे है, जो ओडी डोज ले रहे हैं, ब्रेकफास्ट से पहले कोई सल्फोनाइलूरिया ले रहे हैं, तो आप यू कैन गिव एज अफ्तार, आप ऑटोमेटिकली बिफोर अफ्तार के साथ सल्फोनाइलूरिया दे दें। कोई पेशेंट है जो ट्वाइस डेली डोजिंग पे है, अब ठीक है, BD डोज ले रहे हैं, ब्रेकफास्ट पे भी ले रहे हैं और डिनर पे भी ले रहे हैं, तो आप अफ्तार की डोज सेम रखें जो मॉर्निंग डोज है। तो ब्रेकफास्ट की डोज को आप अफ्तार पे ले आई और सेम रखिए जो वो अपने ब्रेकफास्ट पे ले रहे हैं। और वो पेशेंट जिनके ग्लूकोज लेवल बहुत अच्छे वेल कंट्रोल्ड हैं, उनकी डिनर की डोज को आप सहरी पे ले जाए और उसको हाफ कर दें। तो से फॉर एग्जांपल कोई सल्फोनाइलूरिया BD ले रहा है, तो आप मॉर्निंग डोज को अफ्तार पे सेम रखिए और डिनर वाली डोज को आप सहरी पे ले जाइए, लेकिन उसकी क्वांटिटी को हाफ कर दें। ओल्डर ड्रग्स जो हैं, जैसे ग्लिबेनक्लेमाइड है, कैरिंग अ वेरी हाई रिस्क ऑफ हाइपोग्लाइसीमिया। तो यूजुअली हम ग्लिबेनक्लेमाइड को पेशेंट को रमजान में ग्लिबेनक्लेमाइड को अवॉइड करते हैं, और हमारी कोशिश होती है कि जो पेशेंट हमारी ग्लिबेनक्लेमाइड में बिकॉज हाई रिस्क ऑफ हाइपोग्लाइसीमिया है, लॉन्ग एक्टिंग है, उनको हम रमजान में सेकंड जनरेशन पे स्विच ओवर करते हैं। देते सल्फोनाइलूरिया हैं, लेकिन वो सल्फोनाइलूरिया देते हैं जिनका रिस्क ऑफ हाइपोग्लाइसीमिया इज लो और वो थोड़ा सा शॉर्ट एक्टिंग है। तो इन पेशेंट में हम यूजुअली जो है ग्लिसराइड या जिमेप्राइड को प्रेफर करते हैं। सोडियम ग्लूकोज को ट्रांसपोर्टर विच इज SGLT2 इनहिबिटर, जो मैंने कहा कि इनिशियली अब ये वो ग्रुप है जो थोड़ा सा पॉलीयूरिया करता है, इससे यूरिन आउटपुट बढ़ता है। मैकेनिज्म ऑफ एक्शन क्या है? एज वी ऑल नो कि डेपाग्लिफ्लोजिन और एम्पाग्लिफ्लोजिन, दे आर द न्यू ड्रग क्लास ऑफ oral hypoglycemic agents. SGLT2 inhibitors have a unique mode of action whereby they increase excretion of glucose by the kidney by reducing reabsorption in the proximal tubule. तो जब ये ग्लूकोज की एक्सक्रीशन बढ़ा रहे होते हैं तो ये जो है अपने साथ वाटर भी लेके जाते हैं। इन पेशेंट्स में थोड़ा सा रमजान के दौरान आपको केयरफुल रहना पड़ता है। रिस्क ऑफ हाइपोग्लाइसीमिया बहुत लोग इजीली गिव, लेकिन अगेन अगर यूरिनेशन ज्यादा है तो यहाँ पे आपने वाटर इनटेक को अच्छा रखना होता है। डोज एडजस्टमेंट कैसे होगी? SGLT2 inhibitors can be used with caution in some patient during, ठीक है, during Ramzan no dose adjustment is required and it is advised that dose should be taken at iftar. तो यूजुअली जो हम SGLT2 inhibitors दे रहे होते हैं वो हम OD डोज में दे रहे होते हैं। जो ब्रेकफास्ट में दे रहे होते हैं तो ऑटोमेटिकली जो आपकी OD डोज है वो अफ्तार में आ जाएगी, और हम प्रेफर भी यही करते हैं कि SGLT2 इनहिबिटर हम अफ्तार में दें, क्योंकि उसके बाद यू कैन ड्रिंक वाटर, तो आपका पेशेंट आराम से डिहाइड्रेशन नहीं होगी। DPP4 inhibitors, dipeptidase inhibitors, again this is an enzyme जो कि rapidly metabolize करता है आपके GLP-1 एनालॉग को, thereby regulating the activity of GLP-1. DPP4 inhibitors, risk of hypoglycemia is very low. So during Ramzan, DPP4 inhibitors don't require any treatment modification during Ramzan. तो कोई ट्रीटमेंट मॉडिफाई करने की जरूरत नहीं है। जो आप ब्रेकफास्ट और डिनर पे दे रहे हैं वो यू कैन गिव इजीली एट अफ्तारी एंड सहरी, ठीक है। डोज को रिड्यूस करने की भी जरूरत नहीं है बिकॉज रिस्क ऑफ हाइपोग्लाइसीमिया इज वेरी लो। तो जो ब्रेकफास्ट की डोज है उसको आप अफ्तार पे ले आइए, और जो डिनर की डोज है यू कैन इजीली गिव एट सहरी। GLP-1 एनालॉग्स जो हमने पहले डिस्कस कर लिया, डॉक्टर शाहिद ने भी आपसे डिस्कस कर लिया था कि एज लॉन्ग एज GLP-1 receptor agonists have been appropriately dose titrated before Ramzan is needed, no further treatment modification is required. तो अगर कोई पेशेंट आपका GLP-1 एनालॉग्स पे है तो उसमें भी आपको जिस वक्त वो ले रहे हैं उसी वक्त कंटिन्यू करें, इवन वो अफ्तार या अफ्तार के बाद भी ले सकते हैं, उसमें आपको ट्रीटमेंट मॉडिफिकेशन देने की जरूरत नहीं है। लास्ट बट नॉट लीस्ट, रमजान एंड प्रेगनेंसी, ठीक है। प्रेगनेंसी एक ऐसी चीज़ है जो रमज़ान में हमें उससे और केयरफुली देखना होता है, और यूजुअली जो भी हमारी प्रेग्नेंट फीमेल्स हैं वो अगर वो मेटफॉर्मिन पे हैं तो दे कैन फास्ट, लेकिन यूजुअली जो प्रेग्नेंट फीमेल्स हैं वो हमारी इंसुलिन पे होती हैं। तो इफ़ दे आर ऑन इंसुलिन एंड दे आर हैविंग प्रेगनेंसी, तो प्रेग्नेंट वुमेन विद diabetes are stratified as very high risk with a high probability of harm and are advised not to fast. तो प्रेग्नेंट फीमेल आइडियली अगर वो इंसुलिन पे हैं तो उनको जो है वो फास्ट नहीं करना चाहिए, और वो उसके बाद रमज़ान के बाद अपने रोजे पूरे कर सकती हैं। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Akbar Sarfraz, for a wonderful session. So just a request, meanwhile, I would request Dr. Zareen Kiran to please share her screen as she will now be presenting on the topic of risk stratification. So I would like to request if someone has a question, they can put into the chat box. So I would like to welcome Dr. Zareen Kiran. Please proceed with her session, risk stratification.
आपने यहाँ देखना है, हम डिस्कशन
Okay. We can't hear your voice. Can you unmute? Yeah. We can hear you now.
Okay, that's good. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. I don't know if my screen is shared. Okay. So I am Dr. Zareen Kiran. I'm assistant professor in endocrinology from National Institute of Diabetes and Endocrinology, Dow University of Health Sciences, and I really appreciate Farmivo's great effort and my professor, my other colleagues' efforts for organizing this awareness program, which was direly needed at this time. My topic is about the risk stratification in diabetes in Ramzan, and my senior colleagues have already discussed about the insulin and about the doses, diabetic drugs adjustment and the general guidelines. I think my slides would be a kind of a brief overview for all of you. So I would like to begin with a case scenario. We have a 42-year-old female who works as a teacher. Her weight is 70 kilogram and her BMI is 27 and her blood pressure is 130/74. She is diagnosed with diabetes 6 years ago. There is a mild background retinopathy as a diabetic complication. Her renal function is normal. She is on metformin and sulfonylurea for her diabetes control. She attends your clinic before Ramzan and her latest hemoglobin A1C is 8.1%. She experienced symptoms of hypoglycemia twice during busy days at work. She always fasted Ramadan and she's again keen this time to fast. So she asked for your advice. So the question is to fast or not to fast, and what will be the level of risk to grade in this patient, and how to assess this risk. What are these risks about? And if there are particular risks, and how to minimize her risk if she plans to fast finally. So one has to, realize and to know that there are certain important risk factors which have to be, considered in all cases of diabetes in all patients. These are general risk factors because, fasting period can last from 13 to 20 hours, depending on which country, which place you are living, and what weather circumstances you are going through. So these four main risk factors are very important to consider in all types of patients. Number one is hyperglycemia, then hypoglycemia, dehydration and thrombosis, which can lead to myocardial infarction, cerebrovascular accidents, strokes, and then diabetic ketoacidosis, which we cannot ignore to think about in any diabetic patient. So these are the important risk factors you have to consider in a patient who is fasting in the Ramadan. Then comes the concept where you have to consider individual patient and what is the type, what are the factors or characteristics of that particular patient where you have to deal with those risks, which we are very, daunting about. So these are the characteristics or the factors which help you in quantifying those risk factors. So what are they? The type of diabetes, whether type 1, type 2, or patient is pregnant with GDM. Previous Ramadan experience, had the patient fasted in the last year, how was his experience? Then individual social and work circumstances, like for example, if the patient is working in an office environment where there is a 9-to-5 job kind of situation where the air conditioned environment is there, or is the patient a street hawker running a cart on the road in the open sunlight, scorching sunlight, exposed to dehydration and hot humidity. Then what are the individual hypoglycemic risks? Patient is elderly, patient has other underlying factors where patient can be prone to hypoglycemia. What are the patient's complications or comorbidities, concomitant like CKD, cardiovascular diseases? And finally, what are the patient's medications which you will need to adjust, like how Dr. Shai, Dr. Akbar has already explained. So you have to keep these things in mind because they will help you in risk categorization. And the reason is that safety of fasting is very much important. Although whatever risk, whatever categorization you give to the patient, that you are a high risk patient, you're a low, and for example, for a high risk patient, you must not fast. Being diabetic Muslim, one will consider, no, this is an obligatory pillar of Islam and I have to follow, and they will go to the muftis and they will definitely fast. So you have to consider individual circumstances and you have to make sure that if the patient plans to fast anyway, patient is safe. So you have to consider individual risk quantification and then individual kind of, care. So fortunately, we have an International Diabetes Federation along with Diabetes and Ramzan Alliance Group uh, amalgamated practical guideline developed way back in 2016, uh, which has brought a lot of simplification and help to the healthcare professionals as well as to the patients to understand. Before that, even a decade before that, patients were not there was no specific guideline, and patients either used to go to the imams, the muftis to know what to do, and they may not go to the medical health advisors whether they should fast or not. But fortunately, after this guideline, which has brought these two different professionals into same platform, into same stage, where they can give a common opinion, one single opinion, single message to the patient. So according to them, and this guidance involved muftis of Egypt and I'm sure several other Middle East religious scholars. They say that in all categories, people with diabetes should follow medical opinion. If the advice is not to fast due to high probability of harm, and there are several religious evidences which initially Professor Akhtar has quoted from Quran and Hadith, and that our religion says that safety and no harm is the priority. So these are the three categories. That is, the category is very, very high risk, category 2 is high risk, and category 3 is moderate to low risk. So let's go through these categories individually in thorough detail, because these are the categories which you have to keep in mind when you are dealing with a diabetic Muslim who is planning to fast. So very high risk, where patient can have severe hypoglycemia within the last 3 months prior to Ramzan, or severe hyperglycemia leading to diabetic ketoacidosis or hyperosmolar hypoglycemic coma within the last 3 months prior to Ramzan. Any history of recurrent hypoglycemia, any history of hypoglycemia unawareness. So you see, these are the acute diabetic emergencies which can come at any time of the year, at any time of the situation, whether patient fasting or not. So these are very high risk features which you have to keep in mind for categorizing the patient to very high risk category. Then poorly controlled type 1 diabetic, any type of acute illness which is present at the moment with that particular patient. Pregnancy with pre-existing diabetes or GDM, but that is treated with insulin or sulfonylureas. In being on insulin and being pregnant is a very high risk group. You have to keep this in mind. And even the sulfonyl, because these two can cause hypoglycemias. Chronic dialysis patient or CKD stages 4 and 5. So these are advanced stages, advanced macrovascular complications, old age with ill health. These are the very high risk categories. Now moving on to the second category, patient with category number 2, that is high risk, can be the one who has a type 2 diabetes with sustained poor glycemic control. That means not very bad, but like somewhere HbA1c can be between 8, 7.5, 9, somewhere like that. And well-controlled type 1 diabetic. Now you see, type 1 diabetic is definitely high risk patient, even if well-controlled. So you have to be careful with the type 1s. Well-controlled type 2 diabetic on multiple dose insulin or mixed insulin, again, being on insulin is a high-risk feature. Pregnant type 2 diabetic or GDM who is controlled by diet only or metformin. So even though the patient is diet controlled, only metformin controlled, but still they are considered high risk because they are pregnant and they have different physiological features. Then coming to the CKD stage 3, again, comorbidity is categorizing them into high risk. Then stable macrovascular complication, patient has had some stroke or MI in the past, but now the patient stable. Comorbid conditions that present additional features, then intense physical labor, treatment with drugs that may affect cognitive function, like patient may have some antidepressants on board, antipsychotics. So you have to keep these comorbidities in your list check so that you can categorize the patient. Lastly, category 3, which is patient's category, which is well-controlled type 2 diabetic. So there is no type 1, no pregnant, no comorbidity around. Only a well-controlled type 2 diabetic who is treated with one or more of the following: just a lifestyle therapy, metformin, carbos, thiazolidinedione, second generation sulfonylureas. Dr. Akbar has very well explained about the categories. And then incretin-based therapy, SGLT2 inhibitor, and just the basal insulin. So well controlled on these category of drugs can be considered a low to moderate risk and allowed to fast as per the guideline. Now coming back to our scenario, that the patient who was a 42-year-old female, diabetic, 6 years, with a BMI 27, normal blood pressure, mild background retinopathy and renal function normal, and just on 2 medications. Remember, she had a hypoglycemic episode experience during busy days, and her diabetic control is like optimum, not very well controlled. And again, she's very keen to fast. So I think you can categorize this case easily into a low to medium category, maybe category 2, not stringently, but somewhere between the low to medium can be categorized for this patient. Again, I said that individualization is very important. So as you individualize, which is a key to the management, so despite the risk, you have to consider these 3 steps with the patient very much. Before Ramzan, assessment before Ramzan, ongoing management, ongoing connection with the patient during Ramzan, and a very stringent and a thorough follow-up after Ramzan. You have to keep this in mind with every patient. So you create an individualized management plan for the patient before Ramzan and try to ask the patient to come up 1 month or at least 2 months, 1 to 2 months before Ramzan for all preparation. Advice about self-management, blood sugar checking, adjust the medication for the purpose of fasting in the Ramadan, and advise them to perform a regular sugar monitoring and a good follow-up with the readjustment of doses, because sometimes patients forget to take medications in the same way as before. So this is how you can advise them to monitor the blood sugars. These are several check time points which are very well explained, and there's a simple message for this, that you can check the blood sugar every 4 hours. Otherwise, they are very well detailed by Dr. Shahid earlier. And it's important to tell them that when should they break their fast? What is the cutoff? When the blood sugar is less than 70, or when the blood sugar is more than 300. These are the 2 extremes of levels when patient is advised after going through these checkpoints to break the fast. But at any time when the patient does not feel well or has symptoms of hypoglycemia, then again the patient can break the fast as well. So the take-home message for my little presentation at this time would be that individualized Ramzan-specific treatment regime should be provided for each patient, and they should be sensitive to regional and cultural factors. You have to take into account what is the situation of that particular patient, and then what are the medication type, the dosage, the timing the patient takes, and which needs to be modified, and hence you can then minimize the possible risk during Ramadan. And thank you very much. I can take questions later.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zareen Kiran. If anyone has a question, they can write in the comment box. So we'll see if we have any questions here. So last but not the least, I would like to request Dr. Syed Muhammad Hassan to please, ma'am, can you stop your screen sharing so that Dr. SM Hassan can switch to his screen share.
Stop share. Okay.
Okay. So now I'd like to request Dr. SM Hassan to please share the screen. That's great.
So we are ready. Are we ready?
Yes, yes, please, sir. Please proceed.
So, Rahim, thank you very much, Fahmi and all my dear colleagues. I can see all the smiling faces. Dr. Shahid is here. So, diet and exercise in Ramadan is a very important area of managing diabetes, especially in Ramadan, because no good control can be achieved if you are ignoring and not looking after your diet, and your level of physical activity is not up to the mark. So you need to remember that a good wholesome diet is a key to success in achieving good glycemic control in diabetes and people with, who are observing fast. So patient will come to you and will ask, how do I plan my meals? So because in Ramadan, the schedule of eating changes. Waking up and sleeping also changes. So you need to balance the two ends. In Sahri, what you need to eat, in Iftar, what you have to eat, that is the main focus of my little talk. And I'm not going to go in very cumbersome scientific information here, because this is the message that you are going to convey to your patients ultimately. So anyone who is here, a healthcare provider, and anyone who is not belonging to a medical field should know what we are discussing here. So the dawn meal, which is Sahri or Sahur, should contain a balance of whole grain sources of starchy carbohydrates, as well as some protein and fat to help slow the digestion and help the feeling of fullness last as long as possible into the day. तो कोई ऐसी चीज खाएं जिससे आपका पेट भरा रहे, जिससे आपकी शुगर बहुत ज्यादा बढ़े नहीं, यानी कि इसका ग्लाइसेमिक इंडेक्स लो होना चाहिए. इसमें सबसे अच्छी चीजें जो हम खाते हैं, मैं अभी आपसे डिस्कस करता हूँ थोड़ी देर में. थोड़ा सा प्रोटीन शामिल होना चाहिए. तो फैट दैट वी आर गोइंग टू चूज इज आल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. ऐसा फैट जो कि आपकी कोलेस्ट्रॉल को ना बढ़ाए और साथ में आपके लिए हेल्दी भी साबित हो. और remember that we are going to face Ramadan in a very hot summer month of mid of April, end of April, and whole of May in coming month. So you have to be very careful about choosing your diet. Whole grain cereals, low fat milk, cottage cheese या पनीर, sliced peaches. ये जो लिटरेचर है ये आमतौर से हमारा वेस्टर्न लिटरेचर होता है. इसमें टोस्टेड आलमंड्स हैं, brown bread है, dahi, plain Greek yogurt with added fruits you can add. Patient बोलते हैं कि हमें sweet dish कौन सी खानी चाहिए, so they can add fruits with yogurt. Whole wheat toast with nut butter या चक्की की आटे की रोटी या brown bread is a choice. एक Middle Eastern खाना होता है which is called fool, which is made up of fava beans, same के बीज होते हैं, दालें होती हैं, मूंगफली होती है. That is mixture of all these. जैसे हमारे यहाँ हलीम होती है, so it is kind of that food, and it's very wholesome, full of fiber, full of protein, and it is very helpful in month of Ramadan. So small serving of these kind of foods with sliced fruit in it. Whole wheat roti हमारे यहाँ चक्की की आटे चपाती है. Egg sometimes neglected. Patient पूछते हैं हम egg जर्दी के साथ खाएं, जर्दी के बगैर खाएं. तो remember that the literature shows that you can enjoy egg including the egg yolk. So egg खालीना या अंडा घोटाला जिसे हम कहते हैं, या अंडे का ऑमलेट है, या half fry है, या boiled egg है, any form of egg you can take as your breakfast. So traditionally the fast is broken after sunset and begins with the eating of dates and drinking water. So खजूरें लोगों को खाने का बहुत रुझान है. खजूर की तादाद पूछते हैं लोग. आमतौर से एक छोटी खजूर या एक या दो दाने काफ़ी होते हैं रोज़ा खोलने के लिए. उसके बाद आप मशरूबात में ख़ास तौर से पानी का इस्तेमाल ज़्यादा करें, या सिकंजबीन बना लें, या लेमनेड बना सकते हैं. लेकिन अवॉइड those kind of drinks like ruafza or jamishri वगैरह. इस तरह के जो शरबत हैं, squashes हैं, that has to be avoided. Caffeinated beverages like coffee and tea should be avoided because they can cause dehydration. So you can start your breakfast or iftar with 1 or 2 dates and plenty of water, because you have spent whole day working and waiting for the iftar. So you were dehydrated, so you need to drink plenty of water. Lemonade. हमारे यहाँ आमतौर से फ्राइड अफ्तारी होती है. काफ़ी ज़्यादा सामान इस तरह का होता है, जैसे कि रोल हैं, समोसे हैं, पकौड़े वगैरह होते हैं. तो better you have to avoid pakoras in plenty of amount. So you can take 1 or 2 pakoras, and those should also be made up of vegetables like पालक का पकौड़ा या मिर्च या प्याज का पकौड़ा. लेकिन आलू का पकौड़ा जाहिर बात है that can increase your blood sugar. इसका glycemic index ज़्यादा होता है, तो we have to avoid potatoes. लोगों के यहाँ दही बड़ा खाने का रुझान बहुत ज़्यादा है. दही बड़े के अंदर दही मीठा नहीं होना चाहिए, otherwise it's safe. And then चने की चाट होती है. चने की चाट में लोग अक्सर आलू ऐड करते हैं. You have to avoid doing that. Black चना या white चना जो होता है, या फिर soups और lentils, दालों के सूप वगैरह होते हैं. They are very healthy and wholesome. Pasta is good, especially wheat pasta. It's very healthy. And pasta soups होते हैं, कुछ oat meals वगैरह, they are very healthy. सहरी में आमतौर से दूध या दही ले सकते हैं, साथ में आप अंडे का ऑमलेट ले सकते हैं, अंडा का घोटाला बना सकते हैं. चक्की काटी की चपाती या ब्राउन ब्रेड इज वेरी हेल्दी. इसमें मैं एक बात का इजाफा कर दूं, खजला या पेनी जो हमारे यहाँ आजकल बहुत दस्तयाब होगा ज़ाहिर बात है आने वाले दिनों में, ये बेसिकली मैदे का बना हुआ होता है, इसमें घी होता है, तो इट इज़ नॉट अ गुड चॉइस. इसी तरह से सेवइयां हैं, वर्मिसेलीज, दैट शुड बी अवॉइडेड. सो फ्रूट्स शुड बी टेकन. मौसम का सारे फल आप इंजॉय कर सकते हैं. अभी चंद ही दिनों में आम आने वाला है, तो आई एम एक्सपेक्टिंग दैट पीपल विल इंडल्ज इन मैंगोज. तो स्मॉल मैंगो लाइक दशहरी का जो आम होता है उस साइज का एक छोटा मैंगो इज इनफ. यू कैन ऑल्सो मेक मैंगो शेक विदाउट एडेड शुगर इन इट, एंड जस्ट 1 or 2 pieces of mangoes in a glass of milk can be a good choice. So very important points. While the iftar meal is celebration time, अक्सर लोग साथ बैठ के इफ्तार करते हैं. So those who are having diabetes should not overeat, and discuss a plan with your dietitian and keep sensible portions in mind and follow the same guidelines for healthy eating that you do rest of the year, with an emphasis on whole grains. यानी कि इसमें हमें शुगर या चक्की का आटा जैसे हम खाते हैं, वाइट आटा अवॉइड करें, मैदा अवॉइड करें, और लाल आटा जो है दैट इज वेरी हेल्दी. लीन सोर्स ऑफ मीट, फिश एंड पोल्ट्री. तो गोश्त की तरफ रुझान है तो मछली या मुर्गी या गोश्त इज बेटर चॉइस. And then a small amount of heart healthy fats like olive oil, yeah, canola oil, sunflower oil, they are healthy. Sunflower oil, and limit added sugars. So no amount of sugar should be added because it's going to disturb your glycemic control. As far as making meat is concerned, meat के सालन या उसको आप रोस्ट कर सकते हैं. Try to avoid frying your chicken. Chicken roast or avoid it because this is going to add more oil or fat in it. या इसको आप bake कर सकते हैं. So, meat should be baked or roasted or steamed. That is a better way of cooking meat. And then with every food serving, add a salad, a bowl of salad, which is going to offer you minerals and vitamins and fiber. So this is a healthy choice. चावल के बारे में लोगों की बहुत सवालात होते हैं. चावल खा सकते हैं हफ्ते में 3-4 दफा बॉयल करके, अगर इसका पानी निकाल लें, इसको हम स्टार्च कहते हैं, and then you can add yogurt and salad with it. So it's not going to increase your sugars. तो चावल के साथ आलू वगैरह मिला के मत खाएं. इसी तरह से चावल अगर खा रहे हैं या रोटी खा रहे हैं तो उसके साथ आपने आम या कोई और फल मिला के ना खाएं, otherwise it's going to increase your blood sugar. So this is the way to design your meal. So in summary, divide daily calories between sehri and iftar plus 1 to 2 snacks if necessary. अक्सर लोगों के iftar पहले खाई जाती है, फिर देर से खाना खाते हैं. तो वो जो खाना आप रात को देर से खाएंगे, ज़ाहिर बात है वो सहरी से करीब होता है, तो it should not be a very big amount of food that should be eaten. Ensure meals are well balanced. 45 to 50% carbohydrate, which is again starchy and non-refined carbohydrate. 20 to 30% protein. Protein में दालें हैं, सेम है, चना है. इस तरह से animal protein में fish and poultry. And less than 35% of fat, a fat that should not contain like ghee, saturated fats should be avoided. So इसमें sunflower cooking oil है, इस तरह से canola oil है, olive oil है. They are the better choices to make your food. Include plenty of fruit, vegetables, and salads in your food. So minimize food that are high in saturated fats like ghee, samosas, pakoras, and remember that these days we are having a pandemic of corona, so try to make food at home. That is a better choice. Use small amounts of oil when cooking, like olive oil or rapeseed oil, which सरसों का तेल से कहते हैं, and stay hydrated at or between the two main meals by drinking plenty of water or other non-sweetened beverages. Avoid caffeinated drinks like tea and coffee, sweetened drinks and sugary desserts. जितने भी आपके ये कस्टर्ड्स हैं, सेवइयां हैं, खीर वगैरह है, ये आपने ज़ाहिर बातें अवॉइड करनी है. अपने पेशेंट को बताएं, और अगर कोई मरीज इस वक्त मेरी बात सुन रहा है तो यकीनन वो इस बात को अप्रिशिएट करेगा कि आपने क्या चीज़ें अवॉइड करनी है. बेकरी आइटम्स हैं, केक्स हैं, पेस्ट्रीज हैं, इसको अवॉइड करें, because again they are rich in saturated fats as well as carbohydrate and a lot of sugar. So no amount of good medicine will work if you are not complying with your diet. Include low glycemic index, high fiber foods that release energy slowly before and after fasting. So granary bread and beans and rice. Rice में भी brown rice या अक्सर choice होती है, और राइस किस तरह से बनाया जाए इसकी बहुत अहमियत है. जैसे कि मैंने कहा कि बॉईल करके आप इसका पानी निकाल लें, and then make a khushka of this rice. So as far as exercise is concerned, those who are going to offer prayers at night, तरावी prayers, ये controversial आजकल हो चुका है हमारे यहाँ कि तरावी होगी या नहीं होगी. बहरहाल अगर आप तरावी का एहतमाम घर पे भी करते हैं तो this is the better way of doing physical activity. और अगर आप तरावी नहीं पढ़ सकते हैं या नहीं पढ़ेंगे तो फिर भी आपको थोड़ी बहुत एक्सरसाइज at least 15 to 20 minutes a day should be enough. And I think this is going to give you a good control while you are enjoying Ramadan with diabetes. I thank you all. If you have any question, inshallah we'll be answering. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Syed Muhammad Hassan. So we have two questions from the audience. So I would like to share my slides. I have just added those questions in a presentation. So yes, I think this is the question. I think this is for Dr. Akbar or Dr. Zareen. Maybe any one of them can answer because she talked about the treatment regime. So yes, I think Dr. Akbar is answering the question.
जो हम पहले से डिस्कस कर चुके हैं कि शी इज ऑन फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल HbA1c इज 9, लेकिन जो हम रिस्क स्ट्रेटिफिकेशन करते हैं उसमें कहते हैं कि ये येलो लाइन है, रोजा ना रखे तो अच्छा है, क्योंकि हमारे पेशेंट बहुत इंसिस्ट करते हैं कि डॉक्टर साहब रोजा रखेंगे तो वी कैन गिव द गाइडलाइंस. ठीक है, HbA1c 9 है तो वी हैव टू एडजस्ट रोज एज वेल बिफोर रमजान. DPP-4 इनहिबिटर BT है तो यू कैन गिव एट सहरी एंड अफ्तारी. ठीक है, आप 50/500 का एक अफ्तार में दें, सहरी में दें. एम्पा यू कैन गिव जो मॉर्निंग में दे रहे हैं उसको ऑटोमेटिकली यू कैन गिव इन अफ्तार. ठीक है, और जो लेंटस है वो अपने टाइम पे जो भी वो उनका टाइम है प्री डिनर का उस पे लेंटस का सच मील से कोई ताल्लुक नहीं, बट यू कैन गिव एट 9 PM और 10 PM जो भी उनका लेंटस का टाइम है लॉन्ग एक्टिंग शी कैन टेक इट. यहाँ पे मैं कहना चाहूँगी कि HbA1c 9 है ना तो शी इज हैविंग अनकंट्रोल्ड डायबिटीज. अगर आपके पास 1-2 महीने पहले आ गया है रमजान की असेसमेंट करा के तो यू हैव टू एडजस्ट द डोज एज वेल. आपने शुगर मॉनिटरिंग के साथ डोज एडजस्टमेंट करनी है. हो सकता है कि थोड़ा सा सल्फोनाइल यूरिया इसमें ऐड ऑन करना पड़े बिकॉज शी इज हैविंग HbA1c ऑफ 9%. अगर रमजान से पहले आते हैं तो आप फास्टिंग और एंडा मॉनिटर करवा के लेंटेस की डोज को हम इंक्रीज भी कर सकते हैं. लेकिन अगर आप पूछें कि इस वक्त क्या करना है तो इस वक्त कोई DPP-4 इज ऑन सहरी एंड अफ्तारी, एम्पाजिफ्लोज इज ऑन अफ्तार एंड लेंटेस रात के 10 बजे जैसे वो लगा रहे हैं. ठीक है.
Thank you very much, Dr. Akbar, for answering the question. We have one more question, which is the last question. So the question is, let me just switch to that. The question is about diet. So I think Dr. SM Hassan can answer that question. I'll share the screen once again. So that's a question. So I think it's for Dr. SM Hassan as he talked about the diet. it's okay for diabetic patient to eat egg yolk on daily basis, or maybe Dr. Shahid can also answer that question.
If you see, egg yolk contains a lot of healthy cholesterol and healthy fats, and those are essential for your body activities. So I think there is no harm, and of course you will not eat egg every day, but in moderation. So you can take one egg and you can scramble it. You can make omelette for that. You can add vegetables in that. So this is the whole combination. Of course, you are going to fast whole day. तो आपकी जो calories हैं वो भी burn होंगी और cholesterol control भी बेहतर होगा. लिहाजा egg yolk लेने से
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. S.M. Hassan. So, thank you very much. So, I think we are up for the conclusion. If any of the speakers want to add something as a closing remarks, most welcome for that. So, I would like to request Professor Akhtar Ali Baloch to please have some closing remarks about today's session. Okay. We can't hear you. There's some sound issue, maybe.
Thank you so much, Taimur and Farmivo, for organizing a very informative seminar today about diabetes and Ramzan. And I hope कि आज की जो इन्फॉर्मेशन डिस्कस की गई है इससे हमारे वो उस हजरात ख़वातीन हजरात जो रोज़ा रखना चाहेंगे उनको काफ़ी फ़ायदा होगा. And I'm also thankful to Dr. Hassan, Dr. Kiran, Dr. Shahid, and Dr. Akbar Sarfraz. She joined us and she given us valuable information. मैं डॉक्टर शाहिद का खास शुक्रगुजार हूँ कि उन्होंने he was very proactive in organizing this seminar, and I really miss him because when he was with us in our institute, we were on regular basis we were organizing CM. So thank you, Dr. Shahid, and thank you, Farmivo, and thank you, Dave.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for the closing remarks. And just to conclude the session, as we had this session on Zoom, so we are going to have this video on Farmivo's YouTube channel, which is www.youtube.com/Farmivo Private Limited. So we will share the link as well. Inshallah, you can see the session again. Those who have missed, you can share with the people who have missed the program. So thank you very much, all of you. Thank you very much for the speakers and all the attendees. Hope that it will help the diabetic patient to manage diabetes during. Thank you very much.